check in with YouTube. See how it's going. It's probably a little bit. There we go. Okay. Hello. Hello. Welcome, everybody. At least Humble Marty. I know there's at least you. We're back. Surprisingly, as you can see, my space is very different from how it was before. A little bigger. It's because it's my home office. Because we've had a lot of big changes recently. It has been a very complicated time for me and for my family and for Science Wizard because I run Science Wizard. I'm the leading driving force of Science Wizard. Everything comes through me at Science Wizard, and so because everything has been so crazy on my end, it's been very slow going for Science Wizard as a whole. I'll start with just a very quick rundown of things that have happened. Essentially, when I first started working on Pineapple Pizza Man, I was single, and since then, I was single. I was living in Ottawa, and I was working in the animation industry full time, 9 to 5, right? Pretty normal stuff. Things were going pretty smooth. I was making, pretty good strides, pretty good progress and all that. And then the coof happened. But before that, I met a girl and fell in love and all that mushy stuff that everybody loves. Got engaged, and then the coof happened, and then got married. She moved in, we got pregnant, and then we got kicked out of the apartment, and we couldn't afford to live in Ottawa anymore because rent prices had just gone through the roof. And we had a budget at the time. We had a very specific budget. We could not spend a certain amount, more than what we were on rent. We could only really go over what we were paying at the time by maybe $100, $200 before that would completely demolish our budget. But all the rent prices for literally everything that we looked at in the area were $1,000 over our budget. Not $100 to $200 over our budget, over what we were paying at the time for rent. $1,000 or more. That's crazy. Okay, so we were pregnant, we had to move, and my mom had just bought a apartment that was right next door to my mom's house. And she said, hey, there's a 3-bedroom apartment in here. We're going to renovate that. If you want, we'll have a little sweetheart deal where, you could kind of also sort of act as the superintendent for the building. There's only 2 other apartments, so, it shouldn't be a big deal. But you can sort of act as my superintendent, and because of that, she'd give us a good price on our rent, which would actually end up being a couple $100 under what we were paying for the previous place we were at. So we really considered it. There was a few points of contention for us before agreeing to this deal that my mother was offering to give us, and reluctantly we were just oh well, it's good. We got a baby on the way. It'd be nice to have family close by. And it's a good price, a good enough price for us that, we feel like we could probably save some money, in the process of living there. Right. And, how it is when anything seems too good to be true, it almost certainly always is. So, essentially what happened was, we got there and I started working on the renovation, and you can see on my my Twitter too, I would post that stuff every once in a while, some of the work I was doing with the renovations there. And it was going very slowly, and way too slowly. We were promised essentially that we would be able to move in after 6 months, and after 2 years, that's 4 times as much time as what was promised to us. We were still living with my mom at her house. And I don't know if you've ever been a fully grown married adult with children living with your parents. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. It's actually really rough. If you have, especially if you're like a very independent person, you like your privacy, you like your family's privacy, you like to kind of be the master of your own destiny, the master of your domain. You like to control your setting, you know, especially for your family and your kids. It's very difficult when you're living with your parents, especially when your mother is very much a bit of a control freak, like mine certainly can be in most times. But you know, so it wasn't the best times, but it was good enough that we could kind of put up with it, you know, to get through it until we get to you know, get into that apartment. But then, you know, certain other things happened. One of the other tenants moved out, and then she wanted to renovate that apartment. And so she stopped renovations on our apartment to work on that apartment because she wanted to get my little brother into that apartment. And so she put us on the bench, on the back burner, until she got that done, which that's still not done either. And, you know, we really started to get the sense that it was honestly just never going to happen. That this was all just you know, just like vaporware, you know. It's a promise that never delivers, right? And because of that, you know, we were like, you know, we really wanted to start looking for a place. But we also had just come out of a period where both my wife and I were out of work for almost half a year, the both of us at the same time. And, you know, the entire time, you know, we got no help from anybody in the process of finding work, or, you know, like no, what do you call it? No help with rent or anything like that. My mom was always, you know, there to be like, where's my rent? Where's my rent? And yeah, we always paid it. So we kind of burned through a lot of our savings, most of our savings, just paying rent to my mom in that time where we were both, my wife and I, desperately looking for work. And while that was happening, my wife was pregnant again. So we just had our second kid about 2 months ago. So we have 2 kids now. So in the time since I started working on Pineapple Pizza Man, I got engaged, got married, got evicted, moved in with my mother, did a whole bunch of renovations, which I saw nothing for, nothing at all, because obviously we did not move into that house. We left on our own. But one of the key things that was a sticking point for my wife and I was that I have a older brother, and he is mentally ill. And he's been homeless for a while. And he's not a pleasant person to be around. He's not a good role model. He's not someone that I want around my children. And our one condition for taking this deal from my mom was that she do not move him in with my wife and kids. And she did that anyway. So she broke that deal that we had for moving into the apartment next door. And we said, okay, that's enough. We got to leave. We have to leave, because this older brother of mine, this mentally ill, you know, formerly homeless older brother of mine, you know, he wasn't paying rent. You know, he wasn't doing anything to you know, earn his keep there. He wasn't working. You know, he wasn't you know, he wasn't getting his own food even. You know, he was getting he's getting 3 square meals a day for free every day, you know, with no rent. And, you know, meanwhile, my wife and I had no jobs, and we were, you know, constantly having to pay rent regardless of that. So, you know, needless to say, we were a little upset just about that. But then there's also the fact that he would start fights with my wife, my pregnant wife, you know, and it's not good for a pregnant woman to have a crazy, mentally ill, homeless person living in her house screaming at her, calling her names. And, you know, if that wasn't bad enough, not only would I have to like constantly intervene in these scuffles between my wife and my older brother, you know, because he was calling her like all the worst things you could possibly think of, you know. What's the worst thing you could think of to call a woman? He called her that repeatedly, yelling it, and I had to intervene. But there's not much I could do because it wasn't my house. I couldn't kick him out. And the one time I did do that, the one time I locked him out of the house because, you know, he wouldn't stop calling my wife a C word, my mother, in her infinite wisdom, decided to give him a key to the house so that he couldn't get locked out of the house. So she essentially rewarded him for you know, calling my wife a C word. And I don't want to get banned off Twitter or YouTube or anything. Pretty sure they ban you for saying certain curse words like that. I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones that would get you banned, or at the very least demonetized or whatever. I'm not monetized anyway, but who cares? But still. So, you know, after and not only that, but like whenever these screaming matches between my wife and my older brother happened, and I had to step in and you know, resolve it. You know, I had gotten a job, you know, shortly after this had all started up. So that these screaming matches kept pulling me away from my work. So my ability to earn money as well was being hurt by this person being in the same house as us. And so, you know, we really started to look for a new place to live. And we wanted to get as far away as possible. We moved like, you know, 3.5 hours away. But yeah, so like my mom would also constantly blame me for like my older brother having these meltdowns, these mentally ill meltdowns, and screaming at my wife. So whenever he would start calling her like a B and a C, you know, and I would step in and be like, you can't do that. Stop doing that. Like, what's wrong with you? She's pregnant. Why are you putting this stress on a pregnant lady? This is insane. What's wrong with you? We would get blamed. My mom would actually blame us for my older brother having these meltdowns, you know, which is also insane, if you ask me. And not only that, like we would get blamed for everything. Anything bad that happened around the house, my wife and I would get blamed somehow. I don't know why, but for some reason, I've basically become the like the permanent scapegoat in my family, you know. So this place was extremely toxic for us to be living at, and so we decided, you know, like that's enough. Enough is enough, you know. Especially after she gave him a key after we locked him out because he literally was incapable of being civil. I said, look, if you cannot be civil, like, you got to get out of here. He's like, what are you going to do? You can't make me. You don't own this house. And I just locked him out, and that was it. You know, we were able to have some measure of peace for that one day that he wasn't there. But my mom, you know, rewarded him with a key so he could come and go as he pleases. And and so we finally left, and we basically just like left in the middle of the night. Like, you know, we because my family seems to really enjoy drama, like really enjoy it. Like why else would you invite this chaos into a household if you just didn't enjoy the drama? Frankly, like I would never do that to my kids. I would never do that to anybody that I was living with, you know, and she did this without asking us, you know. She didn't consult us before moving him in. She just moved this crazy mentally ill guy in, and oh well, tough, deal with it. And we were the ones that had to deal with it. My mom never had to deal with any of this stuff, you know. Very rarely did she actually have to deal with anything with him. It was always, it always ended up falling on us. Like we were always the ones that ended up bearing the brunt of these mentally ill, you know, meltdowns that my older brother would have. And so, you know, we left to basically in the middle of the night. We packed up all our crap and just booked it, like no looking back. Like we couldn't stand it anymore. It was hurting both of us mentally, and we had just had a new baby. We had just had a new baby 2 months ago, a new baby. So it hasn't even been 2 months since we've been at this new place. We just moved in. You can see there's still, I got styrofoam over here from all the stuff we've been unpacking, and furniture and stuff we've been getting and trying to make this house a home. And we got a disassembled desk in the background there. That's going to be for my wife, if we could find all the screws and stuff to put it together. But that's essentially what's been going on. I started working on this comic, and then just like everything kept changing over and over and over again. I got engaged, and then I got married, and then I had a kid, and then I got evicted, and then I had renovations to do, and then I lost my job and had to look for a job, and I was jobless for 6 months, and then I got a job, but the job didn't pay enough to even sustain us for a couple of weeks, let alone a couple of months. And then I finally landed a new job that is actually has left us relatively comfortable, and I'm working 11 hours a day now, right? It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but I do it because I need to sustain my family. I need to make sure that my family is taken care of. My wife, my 2 daughters, my dog, and myself to some degree. That part's probably fallen by the wayside just a little bit. I gained a little bit of weight. I got to work on that. We're working on an exercise area eventually. We just got to find the hardware to put up the shelves for it. Hello, Mrs. H. Hi. All is well. All is well now. If you go back in the timeline a little bit, I've been detailing, sort of the timeline of everything that's happened up till now. So the last couple of weeks, actually like month and a half roughly, it has been my wife and I just trying to get this place set up. Make sure that like the kitchen's all set up, make sure the living room's all set up, making sure we got all the furniture we need, and bookcases all put up and set up, and shelving we need. And there's still a lot to do. There's still a ton to do to really get this place in like optimal condition, and we still got to like baby proof everything too. Luckily my toddler, my 2-year-old Betty, she's very that's loud. She's very she's very good for the most part. Yes, it is good to have a safe space, and we did not feel safe at that previous place, which was my mother's house. We didn't feel safe because there was this crazy mentally ill homeless person that was living there, and he was not a good person. He's not. Like, I'm sorry, but you just can't cure mental illness, with hugs and hot meals. It's just not how it works. I'm sorry. As much as you would like it to work, it's just not how it works. Reality does not compute to this person. And which is my older brother, as I was going over. So yeah, so that's what it's been. And a lot of people always wondering, I'm sure, like, why isn't the comic done? It shouldn't take this long to do a comic. And I'm just like, well, you try, putting together, putting aside the time to draw a comic when you've got all this stuff happening. And and anybody who's had kids, I'm sure, can attest to the fact that it can be awfully difficult to get time, peace and quiet to draw when you've got 2 rowdy kids running around. I mean, well, one's rowdy and running around. The other one is rowdy and just lying there because she's only 2 months old. But she's a fussy one. She's a fussy baby. Our first baby, not very fussy. Our second baby, very fussy, very, very fussy. But we've been a lot happier since the move. You have 2 girls, wonderful. So do I. Yeah, finding the time to create is a struggle, especially when you're, trying to set up a house. You're trying to make sure all the bills are paid. You're trying to make sure all the work you have to do gets done. And there's a lot to do, man. There's a lot to do. And you want to do it in a reasonable amount of time so that your kids, aren't going to be knocking stuff over. Like, we just got a couch in the other day. It comes in these 2 great big huge boxes. And, I had to take a little bit of time off of work so I could put that together right away, because, the last thing you want is to be sitting there working and then you hear like a big thump, and screaming and crying because, your toddler accidentally knocked over this box, big heavy box, onto herself. So those are the things you got to take into consideration, right? Creating is not easy. And it's double not easy when you have responsibilities and a life outside of that, extracurricular comic book work. Don't get me wrong, I love it. And if I could, yeah, big boxes equal baby mansions, but not when they're full of, half a couch, right? But like this has been the struggle for me, and it's been made all the more difficult, because of the fact that we just felt so trapped in that house at my mom's house. It felt like a prison to us, especially, it wasn't so bad. It was more just like a minor annoyance initially, when it was just, my parents and me and my wife and kids. That wasn't so bad. There was some annoyances and some, gripes and stuff, but it was livable. We could put up with it. But the moment she invited my mentally ill older brother in to live with us, which we had said right from the very beginning was an absolute deal breaker, it was unlivable. It was completely unlivable for us with him in the house. We were constantly on edge. The stress was absolutely insurmountable. And no matter how much I talked to my mother about this, no matter how much, I would stress to her how much this was affecting us and how negatively it was affecting us, she didn't care. She didn't care at all. So, we would have these blowouts with this, mentally ill older brother of mine, because he can't see reality and he's taking it out on my pregnant wife all the time. So, we're just like, we just felt the need to escape. And so we did. And that brings us here. So one of the nice things about the current place I'm working at, Freedom Tunes, and if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. I think we make some really awesome stuff. We make political cartoons for, U.S. Politics. Check it out here. I'm going to show the screen. Boop, boop. That's one of the topics we wanted to talk about today, is the Blade movie. So this is Freedom Tunes. Check it out. This is where I work now. It's a great place, great people. I love them. We've been doing some really fun cartoons. Which one was it? This one here, Kamala Harris owns Brett Baier. That one's really funny. I highly recommend it. So if you like political comedy, definitely give it a look. Thank you, Humble Marty. She says, I've been really enjoying the Freedom Tunes. Your work is amazing. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm having a really great time over there. And I work from home, so I can be there for my wife and kids if there's ever any struggles or emergencies she really desperately needs a hand with. So that's wonderful. Just being there for my kids is just a blessing. And I think once we finally get this house totally settled, and once we finally start to get this into the groove of like a good proper schedule, I think everything's gonna kind of ease out, and I'll be able to find a little more time for the creative side of things. Right now, that time is pretty much exclusively set to Saturday evenings, if I'm lucky, because kids. And most of Sunday, if I'm lucky, because, kids and family, and because Sunday is the only day I really get off, totally, I do like to spend some time with my family that I'm building. But yeah, it's, it's been a real blessing. And just, I can't even express just how free we feel, how happy we are, and how stress-free we have become since moving out of my parents' place. I mean, you could not imagine a more toxic environment. It's just been awful. So we're free. We're free, and we've got a lot of work to do. I'm getting into it. I want to start doing some drawing tonight on the stream. While we go over some things, we want to start talking about what's going on in comics and movies and entertainment and any comic related entertainment, of course. And of course, today, since it's Halloween month, we also want to touch on some spooky stuff. We just got a costume for my 2-year-old today. She's going to be Little Red Riding Hood. It's going to be so cute. I can't wait. She's a little bit of a tomboy. You know, she really doesn't give a whole care about clothes very much. So she doesn't really dress up super girly most of the time. She actually really just likes just like pants, a jacket, and a beanie. You know, that's kind of her go-to. But yeah, she's going to be Little Red Riding Hood for Halloween, and I can't wait. It's going to be super cute. So let's. I'm going to get my fellow science wizards into the conversation here. I'm going to start with our good friend EyeofSemicolon. You know him from his upcoming book Cross, which he is diligently working on whenever he can find the time, as I'm sure he has very similar experiences of everyday life, just throwing a wrench into the gears of creativity every once in a while. So welcome, EyeofSemicolon. He's also the guy who is working on the Secret comic, the art for that. I did the writing. He's doing the art. Get hyped for that because it's going to be awesome. He's doing a fantastic job. Welcome, Eye.
Greetings. I'm coming off well, right?
Ooh, you are super peaky and robot-y right now.
Sorry about that. A little bit better?
A little bit, but not by a whole lot. We've been having a whole lot of audio issues today, so it's been a bit of a struggle session.
I'll keep myself a bit short. I don't want to bombard with too much noise.
Yeah, you're a little better now. Like, what happened? Did you just move away from the mic or something?
Yeah. It's a snowball. It's a blue mic. It's a bit of a professional grade. Not too much, but it's a bit sensitive in places.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's fine when you're like back like that. You can hear you just fine. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into my co-host and co-writer on Pineapple Pizza Man, and also little reveal. He's also going to be doing a cover for Pineapple Pizza Man issue 1. We had one more cover slot available. He was originally going to do something that was based on ROM Space Knight #1. A little bit of an homage, but then there was this whole controversy about whether you can do homage covers or not because of the whole Lady Death situation. There was a whole thing with that and with the Wheelers and whatnot, and people are starting to wonder if they can even do that because there's talk of lawsuits going on because of homage covers. So welcome, Theron Kurth, the one and only Ron on Twitter. You know him, you love him because he is the right brain or the left brain to the other side of the brain that is Pineapple Pizza Man.
Hey everyone, just a quick question. The cover isn't going to be all me. It's going to be kind of a mashup cover with me and Josh. So,
well, yeah, I'm coloring it, but yeah,
really cool.
It's going to be awesome. I like it a lot. You guys are going to love it. Honestly, we should really be doing like little comic strips based on that art style you developed for that cover because it's super cute, man. I'm telling you, bro. It's awesome. All right, and last but not least, we have the man with the plan, which is no plan at all. He just flies by the seat of his pants all over the place, drawing left and right, up and down for everyone under the sun, and then some. Dylan Rowe. Say something, Dylan, or else.
Something or else.
All right, there you go.
I'm sorry. Hi, this is my first time here.
This is my voice. So yeah, we've been caught up a little bit on what's been going on with me. Theron disappeared, but I'm sure he'll be back. So if you guys are loving what we do at Science Wizard, you want us to do more. You want to help us with the creative process, then definitely check out our Patreon if you want. We're not super duper active on there, but we want to be. We're hoping we can find some way to sort of like, really figure out the whole Patreon side of things. It's complicated, man. Like people don't tell you how difficult like sorting all this stuff out is and fitting all this in, and respect to the people who are able to do that. You know, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication. And you know, when you work full time and then some. For me, I did over the last 2 weeks, I did 141 hours of working. It was crazy. It was a crazy week though. We had like a really big video. That was the White Guys for Harris video. That was a really big one that we did there. Partially my fault because I did the storyboards for it, and I can be a little ambitious. So that ended up being one of our most ambitious videos to date. Yeah, we've been really like kicking some butt on that. But yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work getting there. So I really appreciate anybody checking out that video if you get the chance. Yeah, so and then of course we also have a website. We haven't really updated it since the last time I had a kid, which was about 2 years ago. Sorry about that, guys, but I'm hoping I can find some time to update it soon, because there is like a lot of news. One thing that I'd like to point out is that we have this right here. This is, oh, sorry, wrong one. Boom, look at that. Juanpool, look at the number here. 3. Number 3. Yeah. It's been very complicated, the situation with Juanpool. I love Juanpool. I am the biggest Juanpool fan there is. And you know, Troy, you know, he's always been like a good friend of ours, of mine. You know, we go back, you know, way back to 2017, and you know, I as soon as he said that he wanted to publish Juanpool through Science Wizard, I was like, hell yes, I would be more than honored to. And you know, things aren't always easy for him either, and I understand that, and I've been as understanding as a person possibly could. But you know, he kind of disappeared off of the map for a little while. The last time I talked to him was April of 2023. That was the last time I talked to him. Yeah, April 2023. So, but you know, at the end of 2023, before Troy had kind of disappeared on us, he went AWOL. One of the things he wanted me to do was to rough out Juanpool issue 3, which I did. And you know, I spent about 3 months on it. I probably went a little, you know, overboard with some pages of roughs, just because I was having, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to draw Juanpool, you know. Like I did this wicked double page splash, you know. That was a lot of fun. And it's 30 pages, or no, a little more than that. I think it's 42 pages. And we've been, you know, I was hoping that you know, once I finished the rough, you know, he would maybe get back to us and talk to us again, and maybe want to, I don't know, do the inking and coloring and finish the book so that we could, you know, publish it and get it out to your guys. Yes, I am reading the chat. Well, welcome, Niobe Comics. Sorry, I was just kind of in the middle of talking. And yes, Humble Marty, Juanpool. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We'll see. But I was hoping that once I sent the rough to him, and we got it, you know, printed, right? We got the full color cover, got the back, right? It says production rough right there. Production rough. It's got the like the inside cover. We got all done, and we got the inside back cover. We got this really cool picture with the original Juanpool face that Troy did, and then we got a Juanpool drawn by each of the members of ScienceWizardComics. So, well, yeah, Niobe, that's what I'm talking about. He says, Larry says, look, if Juanpool is not happy, move on to the next thing. And that's essentially what we're doing. That's essentially what I'm saying right now is that unless Troy gets back to me, Juanpool is dead. You know, this is pretty much the last you'll ever see of Juanpool is this production rough. We got 25 copies of it. One's already claimed, and I'm keeping one, of course. And I sent a bunch. I think I sent like 3 or 4 copies to Troy. I sent them to him. I mailed them to him. He should have them. And even after I had sent him a comic, a comic that I fully drew for him. It's essentially penciled. Like I have a hard time doing like roughs because like sometimes I really just want to get certain details in there to really kind of like, express certain elements. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to read right unless I put a little more detail into it, right? So I'm a little obsessive that way. But yeah, unless he gets back to us in some way, shape, or form, and I have been trying to reach out to him. I have sent him messages pretty regularly, throughout the years, even up until September after my second daughter was born. I gave him a little chat on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, man, I just had another kid. Check it out." Sent him a picture of her. So I'm hoping that something happens eventually, but for the moment, Juanpool is dead. Niobe says, "Forget him. I was told why he left, and it was all about Slick Jimmy. He is never coming back." Well, Slick Jimmy has nothing to do with us. It has absolutely nothing to do with us whatsoever. We're not Slick Jimmy. That has nothing to do with us. And like, regardless though, like he was also working on the Chicken Warrior. Begut Troy drew for him and is now ashamed of it and feels duped. Well, nobody can blame Troy for that. He didn't know. He was hired. He was hired to draw a comic, and he drew a comic. Right. That has nothing to do like that. He has no moral responsibility for the person that hired him whatsoever. I keep trying to say that. I keep trying to tell people that, but a lot of people just don't seem to understand that concept, is that you are not responsible for other people. Oh, there's Ron. Ron's back. All right. Welcome back, Ron.
Hey, sorry. My internet's being weird, I think.
Yeah. Troy blames Troy. This is what I was told by Brian Ball back in the day. Well, Brian Ball, he's not exactly the most honest of people. I don't trust Brian Ball as far as I could throw him. And Troy had a falling out with Brian Ball too. I mean, that could be part of it as well, is that he's made all these connections and had so many of these connections, fall out. And the one connection that he's never had a fallout, with me, he's abandoned. So it's frustrating. Like, he wanted to do 5 issues of Juanpool, and issue 3 is where he first gets into the costume and where a lot of the action really starts to pick up. And 4 and 5 were essentially going to be like just this big roller coaster of action and comedy and just it's going to be a lot of fun, and I was looking forward to it as a fan. Well, yeah, I know. You say your point is to stop hoping for something that's never going to happen. Use the airtime for more advancement, not looking backwards. Talk Pineapple Pizza Man. Yeah, I know. I'm getting to that. This is an update stream. I'm updating everybody. I'm trying to get everybody on the same page. And anybody who's looking at Science Wizard and wanting to know what's going on with Science Wizard, I want to keep them in the loop. That's what this stream is all about. I want to make sure everybody's up to date. And so we got to talk about the Troy situation, because he was connected to a lot of the stuff in Science Wizard Comics, right? He was essentially like the chief creative officer. Yeah, well, I'll get to that. Larry, you gotta slow down, man. Like I work up to some things, right? I'm working up to it essentially, but yeah, like I was saying before, though, he was also connected to the Chicken Warrior, which was a big, comic that we were working on with Smackin Kraken, and that left a hole in that as well, because we were about almost a third of the way through that comic before Troy completely disappeared. You take too long for me. I got my show to run. Of course, man. Have a good one and do your show. Like I. I'm sorry I'm not super fast at getting around to things, but with me also looking at and reading the chat and responding to the chat, that also does slow things down a little bit. Cactman, greetings, Pineapple Pizza enjoyers. Good to see you, Cactman. Trying to catch everybody up on what's been happening and what's going on and where we're going from here. This is a big part of it. So Chicken Warrior, those pages from... Well, we're 40 minutes in, and the first 25 or so was me talking about the personal stuff, right? So, Niobe, it's fine, man. Like, not everybody operates their stream the exact same way you do, and that's okay. That's okay. We have our own kind of pace that we go at. We don't have a ton of viewers, and so it's the people that want to watch me talk about this and get up to date at the pace that I set, then that's fine. And those that don't, like, that's fine too. I can't please everyone. I'm sorry I can't please you, but still love you, brother. Yeah, Cacman, still no Marvel, of course. I was just talking about that. Essentially, Juanpool is dead. Until we hear back from him, if we hear back from him. But we're not going to hold our breath anymore. We're going to move on to our other projects, and we're going to keep moving. Well, that's what I'm saying. But there's more to it than just saying Juanpool's no more. Like, there's background to it, Larry. There's background. There's reasons. There's more than just Juanpool. There's also the Chicken Warrior. He was attached to that too. That's what I'm talking about. Not everybody knows all the ins and outs, and so I'm catching people up and giving everybody the ins and outs. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Larry aside, Mr. Marvel is no longer, with Science Wizard. If we hear back from him, we're gonna have a big discussion. There's gonna have to be changes if he wants to be a part of the crew. That's the long and short of it. And until he decides that he wants to be a part of the crew, and until we have that discussion, we're moving on. That's what I'm saying. We're moving on. So we're going to be focusing on the projects that we have with the people who are still here, right? That's going to be our focus. That's what we're going to be pushing, and we're going to be pushing it hard, right? Pineapple Pizza Man, that's coming in February. We have a date now. And one of the reasons we have that date is because I have set that date in stone, or paper rather. But I put out an ad in Savage Sin #1, which is the first comic that I have got a cover on. So this is my first comic book cover on Savage Sin #1 by Larry of Niobe Comics. And so yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Savage Sin #2. Oh, sorry, I said #1. It's #2. I'm on issue #2. So check it out. I'll give you a sneak peek at the cover here, because I know he's already revealed it. It's all good. I'll show you that. Oh! Before we do that, I'll show you a work in progress for the cover with Theron Kurth. Is that cool? You want me to show it off?
Heck yeah! I haven't seen it. If you've done any work, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited too.
I have done some work. It's not anywhere close to done, but this is the Theron Kurth cover for Pineapple Pizza Man. It's a little hard to see. Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna do something else. Hold on. I got this. I can fix this. Okay, I just gotta go open up this app. Okay. Which one was it? This one. Is that it? That's not it. Why is it not showing up? Just check update. Maybe there's an update. All right, sorry guys. I want to show this off, so I have to kind of update.
Is it not letting you screen share, or what's going on?
Well, it's not. Usually, it's just like automatically shows up on my iPad. The screen share program, mini screen, but it's not showing up. So I'm gonna try reinstalling. There might be like a newer version or something. But yeah, well, so while that's down installing,
Yeah, we can just move on to the next thing for now.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So let's talk about Blade. I want to talk about Blade. I want to straight to Blade because I think that's the more interesting topic in my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
Blade is currently on an indefinite hiatus.
Yeah, so what it says here, Blade MCU release date delay could be longer than fans expected. Blade MCU release date was delayed indefinitely, which basically means
You know what they said is there's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
That's true. That is very true. Oh, what happened to my?
It has been in development. Well, okay, so development apparently was started in 2013 with script writing, then officially announced in 2019, and now we're in 2024.
Yeah. What the heck is happening here?
Has it really been since 2013? I didn't hear about that.
Well, that's more just early stuff like planning and like script writing and basically going like where's it going to fit in the MCU. So I guess you could say that actual development probably began a little later than that. Oh god, but it is a mess. I can probably summarize it as they had all sorts of like directors and writers and people in charge of making this film. It went through several rewrites. One of which caught the internet's eye was basically that it was more a story
Blade daughter, right?
Yeah, Blade's daughter. It was more of a story about Blade's daughter than it was about Blade. Then I believe Kevin Feige himself went to the studio and was basically got into a shouting match, got angry, and was like, "What the hell are you guys doing with this film?" Everybody got fired, or at least the people in charge of making the film, like the director and the writers. They basically had to scrap some of it and kind of get it back to working again. Then another director went away, then another director went away, and so on and so forth. And now the most recent update is that it is on hiatus. It is there is no release date yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was I always thought it was a mistake to recast Blade in the first place. I thought, what are you doing, man? Like, you already had Wesley Snipes as Blade, and he was perfect. He was perfect.
He was honestly, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like the casting could not have been more perfect. And then once we started hearing like leaks and stuff about like what the actual like movie was going to be about, they're talking about like, oh, it's Blade. He finds out he has a daughter, and then she takes over and she becomes the new Blade. It's just like, oh yeah, they replace the hero that everybody loves with like a newer, more insufferable, younger female. Girl boss version. It's like, how many times have we gotten that, and how many times has it worked? I haven't seen it work yet. Retarded. Yeah.
With the daughter.
And you know what? Deadpool and Wolverine was a breath of fresh air, but it's a one and done kind of thing. I don't think we're ever going to see any more Deadpool movies. I don't think we're ever going to see.
Oh, we're for sure going to see more Deadpool.
Well, it depends on two things. And I'm kind of agreeing with Josh on this one because the two things are, one, if the MCU goes on long enough to warrant a Deadpool movie, or at the very least a Deadpool cameo, or two, if something changes in Marvel in the MCU right now in the leadership, because it honestly feels like it's just the leadership in charge of the MCU doesn't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah, and there's also has been a lot of reports recently about issues between Ryan Reynolds and Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger at Disney. Because apparently all of the money made from Deadpool and Wolverine, which was it reached over $1 billion, right? It was like 1.2 billion or something like that, and so it's an obvious success. It's the biggest success they've had in the MCU for years. And apparently they're essentially funneling the money they made from Blade and Deadpool to focus on their lineup of woke girl boss movies that nobody actually wants to see. It's like, oh, let's make more Captain Marvel. Nobody wants that. Nobody. And obviously everybody wants more Deadpool, more Wolverine, and obviously more Blade. Hell, I would even take Elektra at this point with Jennifer Garner. She was pretty good. Now, I'd love to see Channing Tatum's Gambit because he was delightful. I thought he was super fun in that movie. So, one of the things that bugs me the most about the whole Disney Blade thing is number one, the casting. You have Wesley Snipes. Obviously, he can still do it. He can still play the role, and Mahershala Ali is not that much younger than Wesley Snipes.
5 years, 5 or maybe
10
he's
years. 5 to 8 years younger. But so if you were concerned about his age, you would go for somebody in their maybe early to mid 30s, right? That's what you would think if you were a logical man. But they picked Mahershala Ali, and I know why they picked Mahershala Ali, because he played a character who had a similar look, a similar kind of vibe, roughly speaking, to Blade in the Battle Angel Alita movie. And they thought oh, we're gonna cast Mahershala Ali and everybody will be super excited, but no, they don't understand their audience, and this is kind of the core problem with Disney as a whole. They do not understand their audience. They could if they just paid basic attention to the numbers that they're receiving. The Marvels tanked. What was it? The Insufferables? No. The Eternals. Yeah, the Eternals tanked. Basically all of their Marvel projects for the last 2 years have tanked. Echo, nobody wanted that. They keep making this slop that nobody wants. And then Ryan Reynolds comes out with a banger, Deadpool and Wolverine, that everybody loves. And if you were a thinking executive who cared about the money and not about the message, you would be thinking, oh, they want more Deadpool. They want more Wolverine. Everybody really responded well to Gambit. Oh, everybody really enjoyed seeing Elektra back again. Oh, everybody really loved seeing, Blade, and they loved the the humor, and they loved the R rating, and they loved the mutants and the action, the stuff that appeals to what's that audience that appeals to again? Oh yeah, young men, not girls, not women, young men. All right, that's the target audience for comic book superheroes. I'm sorry I have to be the one to say this to you, but women and young women, they're not your target audience. I'm sorry. Somebody has to say it. Are there young women who are also going to enjoy the Marvel stuff? Yes, of course there is. There's always exceptions to the rule, but there's a rule for a reason. All right, that stuff tends to, attract a young male audience. So just do it.
The thing is that Yeah, the thing is that it's smart to play towards the primary male audience with with the action and a lot of the stuff like that. But it's also that you can't overthink it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like we watch MCU films in the same way we like to watch wrestling. We know how these go. We know how fights with villains and heroes go, but we enjoy them because, it's entertaining. It's not that complicated. But that doesn't mean you can't do complicated stories and stuff like that, but you have to actually think about it. And you have to think about it in a way that doesn't immediately goes against what already works. You can't like reinvent the boat without understanding why the boat works in the first place.
Right. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, Mrs. H said it right. Bladette. So nobody wants Bladette. Speaking of which, I got that stuff working. So let's show off that cover real quick. Now that we can actually see it properly. Boom. Let's find my screen. Oh, I'm about to make a name for Mateo. Theron is. Theron's gonna. He's doing good, man. Theron is kicking butt lately.
I'll take it.
All right. Looks like I got it working. Okay, let's show this off. Oh, bam! Look at that. Look at that.
That looks pretty nice.
That looks pretty
tired.
nice. That's a nice looking cartoon pineapple pizza, man.
It looks a lot better colored in. I'll tell you that much right now.
There's a little Canadian bacon boy too. I love it. I love it, man. I want to make like an animation rig of that and just like do little cartoons or something. Because that's awesome.
Pretty good.
That's awesome, bro. Always appreciate the chin. You got to have that chin, man. It's our perpetual little nod to Bruce Campbell, a favorite of all.
Yeah, when it comes to PPM, it's the chin and it's the booty. You have to.
It's the chin and the booty. Absolutely. That's a fact.
It's a fact, Jack.
So yeah, the Blade stuff. One of the things that bothered me as well was like the script direction, like that whole like we're gonna replace him with his daughter, and then that's gonna be the new Blade. It's just like nobody wants a new Blade. Just use regular Blade. One of the things that I think is detrimental to that whole process is this whole like multiverse thing. Like you don't need to like have everything be part of the multiverse. It's like, you had Blade happen. And then you had the Avengers and all that happen, and now Blade is under the MCU's, the Disney MCU umbrella. So it's like you don't have to do like a whole multiverse thing. You just you have Blade show up, and you'd be like, oh yeah, he's been here the whole time. Like he's the OG. He's the original gangster.
Those old Blade movies are so low scale that they do not contradict the MCU movies at all. You can just float them in and be fine.
Yeah, exactly. You could just say, oh yeah, these happened in the MCU. Like this was the MCU all along. This is where the MCU started, was the Blade stuff. And you know what I would do? And I talked with this with my friend a lot, Drawn by Bond. His name's Matt Bond. He's on Twitter as well. He does a lot of like art stuff there. Great guy. We always talked about this idea of like taking it from Blade 3. Like you had Blade 1, 2, and 3, right? You had the vampires in Blade 1, and then you had the super vampires in Blade 2, and then you had Dracula in Blade 3, which was not handled the best, but it had a conclusion. The conclusion was they set out a virus that killed all the vampires, right? And what you do is you run from there. Right? You don't just go like, oh, we're going to reboot it, or, oh, we're going to do this whole new thing, and vampires never died. No, you say, yeah, all the vampires, they're dead. Like, he eradicated vampires from the planet, essentially. And what you do is you start the movie off with a great big action sequence, right? You start the movie off with just like, boom, Blade, kicking ass. Like you come into it and there's something, you know, like some little small village or something, or like some little small community, or like a house out in the woods somewhere, like a little cabin or something, and people are running in the woods or something. They're all scared. They've got guns and stuff, and they go into the house, they bolt the door, you know, and then you hear like howls. You're like, oh shit, werewolves. And so what happens is that Blade never stopped. He never stopped. He didn't say like, well, the vampires are dead, so I guess I'll just go retire. No, he's just all like, you know, there's always going to be something needs killing. I'm the one who does the killing. I'm the guy. I don't know why I'm doing all these voices, but you know, Blade, like that's his job. That's what he's good at. That's what he knows. That's all he knows is killing. That's been his whole life. And so he's not just going to stop because the vampires are gone. Vampires exist. A bunch of other supernatural creepy crawlies and monsters and ghosts and ghouls. They got to exist too. So you know what he does? He pivots. That's what he does. He pivots. So this fourth Blade movie, you start with Blade hunting werewolves. Why not? Are you kidding me? Expand the Blade horizons, okay? Go beyond what was before. You don't have to be solidified to vampires. I mean, I think in the fourth one, you should reintroduce vampires, but here's how you do it, all right? You're in the MCU now. Why not start with introducing Morbius, the living vampire, okay? So you got Blade, and he's been doing his rounds. He's been going around. He's been killing ghosts and ghoulies and monsters of all kinds of sorts. You got a mummy. He comes in, beepity-boppity-boopity, snippity-slap, slash, kills the mummy. You got a werewolf, boppity-boo, I got silver all over this place, all right? I got silver up and, you know, silver for days. He comes in. He kills all the werewolves, you know? You got ghosts. Wow, I'm going to figure that shit out, too. If you can kill a ghost, then I'm going to figure out how to do that, and I'm going to do it real good, because I'm good at killing stuff. I'm good at killing all the stuff. And so he comes in, and he starts killing ghosts, right? Whatever you got to do, man. I would personally go with werewolves, personally, just because it's a little more tangible, and you don't have to drastically diverge from his original arsenal too much. You can kind of keep it simple, right? But then you kind of hear like, oh shit, there's I just heard about like a vampire. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Vampires have been extinct for like 10 years or however long it's been since like Blade 3 to now, right? Probably longer than 10 years. I'm old. So you have, he finds out about like whoever he's working with is just like, I just heard about someone talking about like a vampire like attack. You know, it's just like, what? Like, this can't be. So we got to go investigate. So Blade and whatever his new crew is, they go to investigate, you know? And it turns out like it's Morbius, Michael Morbius. Obviously not the Jared Leto one. You make a new Michael Morbius that doesn't suck balls, right? And it turns out that because, you know, he's new to this whole vampire thing, he doesn't have like a you know, his head together just yet. It was Pearl. A chunk of that monstrosity survived. Pearl, the fat vampire from the first Blade movie. Oh my god, that was one of the most disgusting things I'd ever seen it put to film. But I loved it.
It was truly horrifying, honestly.
Genuinely, oh my god. Like, this was like long before they had these like shows like My 700-Pound Life or whatever it is.
Oh.
You know,
I refuse to acknowledge those shows exist.
I don't watch that stuff. It's horrible.
Janitor to Discord mods.
Yeah, I feel like that stuff just kind of glorifies it, and then like you're gonna get a lot more people being like, "Oh, I'll just get super duper fat, and then I can get a TV show."
Yeah,
like I think it's unhealthy.
That's my nightmare. That's my nightmare.
I also just don't want to look at it. It's the nastiest thing. Thanks, Mr. Sage. Now you guys talking about all the bad stuff. So, but yeah, so you have him investigate. It finds out it's Michael Morbius. And then, you know, unfortunately, Michael Morbius, in his newness to vampirism, you know, he's essentially brought back the scourge that is, you know, vampirism. And unfortunately, it's already like spread out of his own control, right? So you've got this essentially like these new vampires, brand new to the streets. They're spreading out all over the place. And now Blade's back to having to like, you know, chop them up one by one and try to like, you know, quell their numbers on in a personal way. And so, what you do is this is like the start of your Midnight Suns arc, right? And the Midnight Suns, it's not going to be like, the exact same as the comics, but what you do is you get Blade, right? And his enemy in the new Blade movie is Michael Morbius. And eventually they wind up, coming together at the end of that. And then they're saying like, hey, like, we can work together eventually. Like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to create any more vampires anymore. I got a handle on this shit now. And then what you do is you do a Ghost Rider movie. Rated R, just like Blade. It has to be rated R. You're essentially creating a wing of the MCU for the rated R stuff, right? You're setting up your rated R Avengers, okay? Rated R can work. Rated R can sell. Deadpool and Wolverine did $1 billion, okay? You don't have to limit yourself to PG or PG-13. Rated R sells. It's all about the quality. You have to have a plan, too. You have to have a plan. So you do that. Michael Morbius is the villain. They end up teaming up at the end. Maybe not like maybe not like the end, whereas like they both fight a bigger foe at the end together, but like maybe Morbius is the foe and he gets defeated, but not in the way that like he's dead or anything, where he's sort of he's sort of like redeemed. Instead, you can do that. Not every villain has to die at the end, Sony. Not every villain has to die. So you got Blade and Morbius. Boom. You got 2 people for your rated R Avengers, okay? And then you do a Ghost Rider movie. And then you do the post-credit scenes at the end of Ghost Rider where he meets up with Blade. And you could do like a post-credit scene that's not just like a 5-second thing with them, right? What you do with the Ghost Rider and Blade is you kind of have like a proper 10-15 minute little mini short film instead. Step it up a notch with the whole post-credit thing, right? Get like a little bit creative with that. Have an actual like scene, not just like a Blade steps into frame and then Ghost Rider turns towards him and then it goes and then goes to black. No, do a scene, right? Have that scene where they like literally come together and they're just like, are you something I need to kill? Blade says. Are you something I need to kill? Oh, tell me. Oh, do I need to kill you? Let me know. And then Ghost Rider's like, nah, man, I kill the bad guys. I'm here to kill. I'm here to do vengeance, justice, and turn evil people into blithering idiots. Perpetually reliving their fear because of my penance stare and stuff like that. Yeah, Mrs. H. Oh my God, Morbius, Blade, and Ghost Rider. Yes, that would be awesome, would it not? Oh, and then what you do is you round it out with something that they already introduced into the MCU. Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing. You got your big hulking brute Man-Thing. You got your slicey guy with Blade. You've got your flaming skull demon with Ghost Rider. You've got your vampire, right? Like classic, monstrous vampire with Morbius. And then you've got a werewolf. You've got a whole lineup. The perfect Midnight Suns lineup, in my opinion. It's essentially rated R, Halloween horror Avengers. How would that not sell? And how would those action scenes with all 5 of them not be freaking awesome? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here because to me, this is like the most obvious thing in the universe. It's like you have access to all of these characters. You can do this with the snap of your fingers, the drop of a hat. Put a little bit of money into it. And they don't have to be like the most gigantic, like special effects festivals for each of these films, but like do a nice movie with each one. You set it up. Werewolf by Night was awesome, dude. That was actually really good. I really liked it. And my daughter loved Man-Thing. I don't know what it was about Man-Thing. She was only like 1 years old at the time. And we watched that. And she was just like, laughing her butt off when Man-Thing came on. She thought he was the funniest thing in the universe. So there you go. It connects to kids even, unintentionally. Anyway, sorry, that's my rant over. Let me know what you guys think.
No, it's like I guess the problem with with the MCU right now, and it's the problem with the MCU right now is they're playing it way too safe. These films are costing a lot of money, and it's much like the game industry right now. When everything costs so much, when you're putting so much people involved in something, you're not gonna take any risks. You're gonna try to play things safe, and when you do take risks, it's not going to be the risks that people want. It's going to be like the safest risks possible. It's down to like the most pessimistic, like just cold calculations you could possibly make.
Yeah.
And honestly, it would be great to have more of a magical influence in the MCU. It kind of felt that for the longest time, all we cared about with the MCU was like sci-fi, technology, aliens, street crime, and like espionage if we're lucky. But it was mostly just science stuff. And there was like that whole stupid thing where they were like going like, oh, magic is just science, but in a different way. It's just
I hated that.
I hated that too. I thought that was stupid. But I think it works with the Thor stuff because it's essentially like they're often like a different, universe, some like a different planet, a different system and all that. And like they are just like it's not so much that like magic is that, but like it's just that these Norse figures are actually long living aliens from a culture that has such advanced technology that to the primitive people of back then, it just looked like magic, right? But magic does still exist, right? And they have been sort of delving into that slowly but surely. The Darkhold and Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness, but they haven't been having a good go of it. They clearly, once they got to a certain point, and I think that certain point was not even Endgame. I think that was Infinity War. That was where they lost their way, was after Infinity War. Once Infinity War was over, they basically had no idea what to do. And it showed. It showed in Infinity War, it showed with the Captain Marvel, and it showed with every project down the line moving forward. And it's been a mess. It's been an absolute mess. And I think that like they need some clarity. I think they need to move away with a lot of the stuff that they have been doing and setting up. And I think something like the whole like Blade, Ghost Rider, Morbius, Midnight Suns thing might actually be the way to kind of like pick things back up, is like step away from that bigger cosmic stuff, come back to the like focus on the supernatural, focus on like just one thing at a time, right? Say like, okay, now that the Avengers are done, let's set up some new characters, right? Let's set up Blade, or reintroduce Blade. Say like, oh hey, all those 3 movies that happened in this universe, and now we're going to expand on that. Bring in Morbius, bring in Ghost Rider, bring in this other thing, pull together a Midnight Suns, and then make like our Midnight Suns, which is going to be like the rated R Dark Avengers, essentially, kind of. That would be a good way to do it, because then it would be focused. That's the thing that they don't have, is focus.
And maybe it could also be a turning of a new chapter. Maybe give the actors a break from the MCU, turn a new chapter, focus on other stuff. Kind of start from the beginning and then ramp up again. It's kind of like a wave. It's like, we're done with the planetary stuff. Let's try the magic stuff now.
It's like this. It's like a roller coaster. It's like any movie has that too. You have like your highs and your lows. It ramps up the excitement and then it comes back down to some touching interpersonal dramas or light areas. And then you go back up. You can't just constantly be going up and up and up and up and up. Like it has to, at the very least, plateau before you go up again. But ideally, you want to come back down a little bit before you keep moving upwards. What about you guys? What do you think?
I think you're expecting too much out of Marvel at this point.
Oh no, I expect nothing from them. I'm essentially just like laughing at them right now at how and just being frustrated by how stupid they are. Like they're just leaving money on the table, frankly.
I mean, you could always.
It's just insane to me that it seems like the obvious choice that anyone would make, but no, they don't.
Mm.
It's just it baffles me.
And that's the thing too, is like they have so many different directions that they could do too. Like they could go in so many different directions because Marvel as a whole, like the comic franchise, has a wealth of history, like so many different teams that you could do, so many different characters that you can focus on. Like, why not like delve into that? I feel like they've sort of like written themselves into a corner, you know, because they're like, oh, we can only do it with these actors. We can only do it with these characters, you know, because that's what we found success with before. So we have to do it again. It's like, well, you found success with those characters because they've never been done before. You found success with those characters because you had the right casting, because you had the right directors, because you had the right writers. You had solid scripts. You had solid action. You had solid characters that people loved and connected with. And right now they're trying to do this like checkbox thing where it's just like, oh, we have to have this many Latinos and this many women and this many this color and that color, blah, 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 blah. And nobody cares about that. The only people that care about that are a very tiny section of activists and journalists and nobody else. Everybody else cares about the characters. You look at like, you know, the Black community, what's one of the biggest franchises in the Black community? Like one of the things that they like, you know, really love and enjoy. Dragon Ball Z. About aliens and it's set in Japan, in a fictional Japan with like Capsule Corporation. It has nothing to do with like Black culture or anything. And they, you know, the characters aren't themselves Black, but they connect with it. Why? Well, because it's they like the cool fight scenes, you know, they like the characters. They connect with the characters. It's always the characters you connect with. Not the spectacle. It's not the spectacle people connect with. At the end of the day, like you can have all the spectacle in the world and it will feel empty if you don't have characters that people connect with. And it's not the skin color that people connect with. It's not the culture or the ethnicity or whether they look like you or not. It's about who they are, not what they are. And that's something that seems to be lost in Hollywood as a whole.
No, it's like I said, everyone's trying to play it safe. I mean,
well, how safe is it when they keep having movies that bomb?
Well, the problem is that Hollywood's bloated. I still compare it to the game industry because the thing is that when everything costs so much, when you have so many moving parts involved, the execs on top would be like, okay, we're putting a lot of money in this, so we need to send people to kind of like make sure that everything goes by a certain checklist, and it goes way further. It's like you gotta make sure that like, you know, you get the biggest names possible, you know, like the most overpriced like names that can attract the most amount of viewers. You have to go big on the special effects. You gotta get like 20 different studios working constantly to make the prettiest effects possible because that worked before last time.
Or like stunt casting, like Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom in the MCU, even though he was already Iron Man.
The thing is that of course they're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. They want to ensure that whatever project they make is going to get the most butts on seats. But that doesn't mean they're being creative. People don't know what they want, and studios don't know what works. Sometimes they do, but you got to take that risk. You got to do things that are wild, or heck, maybe don't do things that are too wild but simple, because sometimes even simplicity in and of itself can be surprisingly effective and risky.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the first Iron Man. That was very simple. It was not a huge budget movie, but they put a big focus on just casting the right people. And I think they did that beautifully. I thought the casting was probably the most spectacular part of that movie. Like Robert Downey Jr. crushes as Iron Man. He is perfect casting.
Heck, look at the writing. Look at the violence.
Right.
Iron Man 1 is darker and more violent than a lot of films in the MCU today. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure people will point to like a series like the fucking Secret Wars because there's a terrorist attack, but that's not dark. That's dark in reality, but it's not dark in the way that films like there was a seriousness in the first film, and you could absolutely rewatch it. The thing was, they treated it like a film first before trying to treat it as another extension to their franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen Secret Wars. I got turned off with the whole AI art opening thing that they did. I thought that was really poor taste. And then I saw some of the clips and stuff, and I was just like, this isn't for me.
No,
It
you.
looks boring, honestly.
Yeah, it actually kind of was. I watched the entire thing myself with a friend, which is probably the only way that I can watch a lot of the MCU stuff nowadays. You know, because we're just gonna like shoot the shit for it. It was boring. Any idea you think would have been cool for a Secret Wars things involving espionage, who can you trust, and all that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably sure you can think of, and they didn't do it. Hell, I thought of some, and they didn't do it, or they did it poorly. And they do this really dumb thing where they're trying to play off the crawl as like, you know, misunderstood and all that. But the lengths that they go to in basically taking over the world is so insane and evil that you can't make them out to be good guys. It's like they want them to be,
but they want them to be. The show probably still wants you to think that they're like the good guys in some way, or like
not good guys.
The poor dears. They had no choice.
Misunderstood, or
no, just misunderstood. But,
Yeah,
I mean, there's like one guy who's evil, but then you got like an entire group of them that have basically taken over. Like whatever parts of it's like, you know, like every conspiracy theory you can think of. That's the whole shtick. And it's like, wow, you mean to tell me they have captured like hundreds of people around the world, took over their lives, swapped their bodies and all that, and we're somehow supposed to feel sorry for them even a little bit? No,
Yeah.
God, no.
No, I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's
why
like,
they're like cartoonishly evil villains in the comic books, because like, there is no sympathy there.
The thing is that it just doesn't work. It just kind of bites it in the ass, and
Well,
the main villain is uninteresting.
That's the thing, is that the audience at the end of the day isn't stupid, because you can if you show the audience these characters doing these overtly evil things all the time, like in the Captain America, or sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, with the terrorist chick.
Yeah, they had these terrorists that were always doing these like evil things, like killing people, civilians, like doing every horrible bad thing you could possibly think of. Like you're like, oh yeah, these are horrible, awful, evil terrorists. I hope they get their asses kicked. And then at the end of the series, he's just like, oh, won't somebody think of the terrorists? These poor terrorists. Oh.
The problem is that the MCU lately has been doing this really dumb style of writing for their villains. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want their villains to be evil, but they also want their villains to be tragic or misunderstood. Because it worked fine for Loki and a little bit for Killmonger, but you can't repeat it. And it just...
I think it works for Loki in a sense, because he's a bit of a troubled character. You know, he's been alive for a really long time and has had like lifetimes of drama. You know, and then there's also, you know, the whole Laufey situation, the fact that he's not really Loki, Odin's son, and then there's the whole like kingdom and like, you know, who takes the throne, and he's got a lot of layers, and that works because he's got a lot of layers. Killmonger, on the other hand, he was just Black Hitler. Like, he was basically just like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, kill all white people and have black people in Wakanda take over the world. It's just like, well, you know, I don't find that particularly sympathetic. I'm sorry.
Well, no, see, the thing is, that's the problem. Like, at first he's like, oh yeah, I was abandoned by my country and forced to live in a place that wasn't my own, only to find out that I could have lived in this great advanced civilization. And it's like, oh, you know, I understand that. And it's like, okay, and now I want to basically be an arms dealer and put weapons everywhere in the entire world and just start a race war. And then it's like, okay.
Encourage all black people to start a race war globally and take over the world.
And that's the problem. They want the benefit of going like, oh, this might be a tragic villain that'll that has like a deep problem, and we can talk about like deep issues and all that and pretend we're deep. And then it's like, and now I, the villain, shall show you I'm the villain and proceed to kill this puppy. And it's like, oh, right, they're the villain. And it's like, you can't do both. You can't
and you can't go back after he's jumped the I'm literally Black Hitler shark. You can't just walk that back and be like, oh, isn't he so misunderstood? No. No. At that point, it's just like, you can't go back and be like, oh, but Hitler was such a great painter, wasn't he? Oh, he was just so misunderstood. He wanted to just be a painter, but then like, oh, all this stuff happened, and then he just happened to kill all the Jews. No, you can't walk it back. I'm sorry.
It's kind of why I didn't. It's like with Thanos. You can't have him be this like deep villain that is like all about trying to do the right thing, but is so he doesn't understand how awful what he does. And then he starts having like fun fights with Hulk and is like incredibly sadistic to the dwarves. And it's like you can't do that. You either can be a complex villain with deep morals, or you can be pure evil. And there's nothing wrong with being pure evil.
And like
one
all
of the
that would
problems
have been fine if they kept the comic book motivation of him
Yes.
just being a simp for death.
Yes,
Just
I agree.
wanting to own death.
I
It
agree.
would've been fine then.
I think the biggest mistake they made was Thanos was trying to make this like whole sympathetic, oh, well, there's not enough resources, so we just have to kill half the people so that there's enough resources for everybody. And so I'm going to get this gauntlet that makes me essentially an all-powerful god who can do anything at a whim. And instead, and his whole motivation can be dismantled with a single question. Well, why don't you just double the resources then?
Yeah.
Well, instead of killing half the people, why don't you just double the resources, and then you're just a hero to everybody, everywhere, forever?
The thing is that they want to fall back on him being the Mad Titan. So the only plausible explanation is he's insane.
But like
that's the only explanation. It's not a good explanation though.
But the thing is that they don't even try to do that. Like nobody points out to him at any point in time that why doesn't he just double the resources? Why doesn't he just snap his fingers and there's abundance everywhere forever for all time and nobody will ever go hungry ever again? Like you could do that. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, it would just reveal him to be a fucking idiot and nothing more. Like his motivation in the comics makes sense. It's insane. And that's why he's the Mad Titan. Oh, this crazy guy. He's so powerful and he's so skilled and he's so malicious and evil. And all he wants to do is kill half the universe to impress the embodiment of death because he loves her and wants her to be like enamored with him too. So that makes sense. That makes sense. That is crazy. That's mad. That's psychotic. But also, it has a through line, and you can't really talk him out of it because he has it in his head already. He's like, no, I love death. Death is like my goddess. Oh my god, I need her in my life, but I need to get her attention, and I can only do that by killing half the universe. Like, just do that. Why couldn't you do that? Like, what possible thing was stopping you from using that motivation? Why did you have to try and make this stupid motivation for him that just could be dismantled by a single question that nobody in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe thinks to ask? Like, you just made Thanos one of the stupidest characters ever put to screen, and then you made every single other character that had ever come before in the MCU even stupider because they never ask him the question. That's the problem I had with it.
Yep.
And I liked Infinity War, but like that was always nagging in the back of my head the entire time watching it. Like, why is nobody asking this question? Like, just double the resources, quadruple the resources, septuple the resources. Make it so that there's no possible way anybody, anywhere in the entire universe could possibly ever go hungry. It would be a literal impossibility to not have the resources to live. Like, you could do that. Humble Marty's back with the only time I've seen the misunderstood monster stick work after the villain goes pure evil is when Joker manipulated Harley Quinn by making up simp-worthy backstories. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I think it's... Well, I think that's kind of working in reverse, because we've always known the Joker to be evil, but...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, I think I see what you mean. It's the idea... Well, it's still reverse. It's the idea that we see Harley Quinn as being evil at first, but then we're introduced to her backstory as being more sympathetic, and she becomes a tragic villain.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that does work.
We're talking about the original Harley, right?
Yes, the original Harley with the
okay,
the Batman.
Yeah, Batman the animated series.
Yeah, but the thing is that okay, so the difference between complex villains and pure evil villains is, you know, complex and simpleness. If a simple villain has nothing, at the end of the day, they're motivated purely for doing evil, being a jackass, and all that. A complex villain, meanwhile, is motivated by deeper things. Maybe it's something tragic or something personal. It's something that gives them more.
Something philosophical or something they feel is greater than themselves.
Precisely. But the thing is that it is far easier to complicate a simple villain than it is to simplify a complex villain. Because with a simple villain, it's like, there was nothing there to begin with. So if I add more, potentially nothing goes wrong. You know, it's kind of like how if you learn the tragic story of an evil villain that made them the way they are. Like, Joker with his one bad day. You sympathize and you understand how this one guy just absolutely ruined his entire life and became the Joker. Does it make you sympathize with the Joker? No, but it makes you understand that there was a kind of a tragedy in that.
Right. Like the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. That was a really good movie. I liked it a lot. But it's like you understand his motivations, right? You sympathize with him to a degree, but because you're not crazy like he is. You see that and you're still like, okay, I understand it, I get it, I sympathize it, but I don't agree with it, right?
Yeah, you never see him as the good guy.
You never see him as the good guy. You're not meant to see the villain as a good guy, right? Like it's
you can feel sorry for them, but
and I think they're if you want to have like at least that understanding, I think their level of villainy has to be like kind of on the same level as their motivation, right? Like you have to be able to understand that motivation, to a degree, and the level of evil cannot like exceed that level of motivation too greatly. And I think this is where it is with like the Killmonger thing, because he was like, it was like, oh, I'm sad because I could have grown up in this, wonderful black culture with technological marvels far out exceeding what the modern world today has, and I had to live in the slums. But then, you'd be like, oh, he does like something marginally evil, and you could kind of still have like, okay, I get where that, I get where there's like a through line to that. I get how there's like okay, like I'm sad that I didn't get to grow up in the culture that I was technically supposed to, and so I did this bad thing because I want to be back in that culture or something like that, right? I can understand that. But he goes, oh, I'm sad because I didn't get to grow up in this black culture that I really like. I'm going to murder the entire population of all other races and cultures using that technology and be Black Hitler.
He's just going to do a silly
It's
little
too much. Yeah. Like you can't go, oh, I'm sad because I didn't get to grow up in Canada. I'm going to kill all of USA. Like you don't do that. That's not a good motivation for that. Like you don't go, it's like he turns it up way past 11 to like 35, Like you can go to 11. You can't go past 11. You can't go to 35 on that motivation. Like that motivation can take you here, here, or here at the absolute most. You can't take you here. Here, not here. Like that's where it's like jumping the shark, you know? It's like, oh, you took that too far, right? You took that so far that it's no longer believable. That's kind of where that is for me. Like that's kind of what they're doing with a lot of these villains with Marvel these days, is they have these, like, they try to give them these moderately sympathetic, you know, motivations and backstories, but then they take those actions to such an extreme degree, but like you can't really follow the through line.
It's because
it doesn't make sense.
It's because they want them to still be the villain. So they want to have, again, they want to have
cake and eat it too.
Yeah, cake and eat it too. They want to be like, oh, we can write complex stuff. We can write complex themes. We can have a complex rivalry. But then they want to be like, oh, but we want to make sure that, you know, they're the villain. And what's the easiest way? Kick a puppy.
Seems like they're mixing up complex with messy.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think I think Humble Marty's example of Harley Quinn is a really good one, because Harley Quinn's a bad guy. She essentially joins the Joker, and it's because he essentially seduces her, right? He saw a weakness in her psyche, and he manipulated that to essentially get her to fall madly in love with him, so she would allow him to just break out of Arkham, right? And then, you know, that kind of like completes her arc into becoming a villain. But she doesn't go beyond the Joker. Like, she basically just stays a simp for the Joker.
She's a minion.
She becomes a minion.
Yeah.
She doesn't go like, okay, I'm going to take over the world now.
I'm going to use a different example of someone who does go way too hard, but in a strange way, you still like them.
Oh, it actually works? I'm curious to know about this.
Well,
one.
It's sort of. Have you ever read the story? Have you read the comic Irredeemable?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes.
So basic premise is another evil Superman. It's a guy named the Plutonian. He's
that premise hasn't been done to death already.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. but here's the interesting thing. This guy goes. When I say he's irredeemable, he is irredeemable. Like, he just completely destroys as much as he can and as much as he wants. Like, he fucking like vaporizes and kills the equivalent of Ant-Man / Batman and his family on issue 0. Just outright does it. He destroys entire cities through floods and just absolutely wrecks everything. And I'm not going to go into too much, but just understand that if you think a man can't go deeper into how utterly evil he can be, you'd be surprised what he does in the comics. But the thing is,
I get it. Yeah.
But the thing is the comic is all about the question: how irredeemable can you be? Is it possible to be redeemed? And the answer is, for the Plutonian, it's understandable why he ended up the way he is, and it's so fucked up why he is. But as a person, no, he can't be redeemed.
Yeah.
And the comic ends on
he's gone too far at this point.
Oh yeah, no, he's gone too far. But the thing is, his backstory is pretty sad at places. It's basically like the recipe for creating the biggest sociopath possible who just wants to be loved. And the moment that love cannot be given back, he just snaps. But the thing is that the comic is aware that you can feel sad for him, but he can't be a good man.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You can make a villain complicated, but they have to always be the villain. You can't have it both ways where they're sympathetic or not.
Well, personally, I do feel like their level of villainy in some way does have to kind of like, you know, match their motivation in some way. Like I feel like it's very much the motivational equivalent of jumping the shark when it outweighs it to such an extreme degree, like someone like a Killmonger. I know a lot of people liked Killmonger, but like for me, I was just like the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, why? Why?
Two things. One, when you've had pretty crappy villains for a while, even something slightly complex is seen as good.
No, that's true. That is true. The MCU up to that point had been like known for having like really awful villains. Personally, I liked Claw a lot better than Killmonger, but they just didn't do much with him. And Andy Serkis was like really good casting for that role too. And they finally gave him his like vibranium arm.
Oh fuck! And I just realized there are two other great examples. One that I'm probably sure everybody here knows.
Okay, well, what's that one?
One is Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. He's a good tragic villain. He does a lot of evil stuff like rob banks, but his motivation has always been to give limitless energy.
Mm-hmm. But I disagree because the entire time he was manipulated. His mind was not on the right track. He was kind of being controlled by the AI powered arms. And as soon as he was no longer being controlled by the AI power arms, he like completely flipped back to being like a rational person and stopped what he was doing. Right.
I guess another good example is recently with Transformers 1 with Megatron.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Oh man, you gotta. It's
everybody keeps telling me how good it is, and I'm just like surprised because like the marketing was such ass.
Oh yeah, no, it's
it looks like a horrible movie based on everything I've seen from the marketing.
I'll say this: if the humor at first is kind of a little bit MCU level, it's at first. And I'm not really a fan of how they do Alita 1. But you get this. But on the flip side, though, you get a really good kind of like, brothers who end up brothers like friends who used to like each other, and then they start to hate each other, and one of them goes evil. But you totally get why he turns evil, because it's basically everything was taken from me. The heroes I used to love all turn out to be terrible or dead. I have nothing, and I'm just done with this world. Burn it down.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check it out when it like comes out on video or something if we ever get a chance. Dude, it is so hard to watch a movie when you got toddlers. Like, it's crazy. It's like the little children and stuff. Like, they do not let you sit down for very long. If I sit down, that's my daughter's cue to jump on me. That's what she does. She likes to roughhouse, man. She's a rough and tumble little girl. Like, if I sit down, if I try to get comfortable or relaxed in any way, she's just like, how can I put a stop to that? I love it though. Having kids is great. I absolutely adore them.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the whole point is, look, if you want to do a complex or a mix of complex and simple, either make a simple villain and then reveal that there's something complicated about them.
Yeah.
Or just to do two villains, because sometimes they don't mix.
Right on. Yeah, I think there's a lot to think about with that in general. I think we touched on a lot of really interesting thought processes on creating a solid villain with a deeper, motivation and understanding, but without jumping the shark and going too evil beyond what that motivation can support. I feel like the motivation is sort of like the support structure, right? For how much evil that character can hold, right? And the support structure has to be strong enough to hold all that evil. If it's a flimsy little support structure that can't support like 8 tons of evil, it's just going to crumble and collapse, and the people watching are just going to be like, well, that's fucking stupid. Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I think a good analogy is building something out of glass or building something out of brick. It's like, if you want something nice and pretty with glass, something complicated, that's nice. Is it going to support a lot of the evil a simple villain does? No.
Yeah.
But if you have the brick, it's simple, it's pretty dumb, but will it support that evil? Hell yeah, it's going to support a lot of that evil.
Oh, it's Transformers 1 streaming already?
Yeah,
yes.
it's on Amazon.
Oh, on Amazon. Really?
Like
Wow.
the rent on Amazon, yeah.
Yeah.
On Prime Video.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I might check that out soon. Yeah, I'll definitely check that
I
out.
was thinking about it too. Yeah, I've been hearing good
Yeah.
things, but
I mean, if a movie's good, everyone I like, who I trust, is saying it's good, then yeah, I want to check it out. I want to support it. But if the movie's not good, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to support it. Like that's really where we've come to at this point. Like people have kind of lost the trust in the machine that pumps out a lot of this stuff. And now everybody's just kind of waiting to hear if something's good before they even go to watch it. You know, they have like a few trusted sources, and like they're just like, if they're saying it's good, then I'll definitely go see it. But if they're not like gushing about that, then I have no interest. And it's kind of where I am with a lot of media these days. I'm just like, I really have no interest unless someone, you know, I trust, you know, on the subject is like, dude, you got to go see this. I'm just like, okay, now I'm listening. You know, for the most part, I'm just so busy. I don't even have the time to do it these days. But you know,
I just don't like movie
while,
theaters anymore. Like, I don't like movie theaters anymore. Like just the people, like the loud people in theaters and stuff. I can't do it.
I'm different.
I'm really excited about.
I love going to the movie theater, but like I agree that like the experience has been like a lot less enjoyable in recent years. Like there always seems to be somebody that just does not respect the other patrons, talking through the movie, phone on during the movie, you know, stuff like that, or like. And the movie theaters themselves don't seem to really care anymore that people are doing that. They don't really seem to care.
Think about
like,
any other business. Any other business, a restaurant, you're being super disruptive, you're throwing a fit, anything, you're getting kicked out of that restaurant. The movie
right, to protect the experience for the other customers.
See, I'm lucky.
Movie theater, they don't give a shit.
They really
ridiculous. They need ushers in each theater. They need to hire more people, have ushers.
Oh my god, I miss ushers. Ushers was such a good idea. It's just like, oh hey, it's like somebody who can be like, hey, you're disrupting the other people, you got to go. Oh my god, please bring that back. I would be at the theater so much more often.
See, have you guys ever been to an Alamo?
Alamo Draft House? No, I think that's only in the States.
Ah man, see, that's why I feel like I'm lucky because we have an Alamo local to us, and it's great. It's a place you can also eat while watching the film, and they have what they call ninjas, people who are just like down by the booths, kind of looking over for like people putting up a little sticker. They have a little sticker on it with a little button. You press it, and then like they'll come to your table and be like, "Yeah, is there anything going on?" It's like, "Oh, I want some more food," or "Hey, this person next to me is being very disruptive. You know, they're talking or they're on their phone."
That's great. That's a great idea.
I love it. I want to go. I'm coming to the States sometime next year.
Nice.
So maybe I'll have to make a point to check out an Alamo Draft House, experience that. Humble Marty says it's good too. She says she saw it in theaters. You know, I guess I'm gonna have to check it out. I mean, everybody's saying the same thing. Everyone's saying it's good. So I don't think I'll be able to check it out in theaters though, Marty, because 2-month-old baby and a 2-year-old that can't sit still for a whole movie. We watched.
I think it's being pulled out of theaters now.
Oh, is it already out of theaters? I thought I saw it at the theater.
Slowly coming out of theaters, I think.
It was slowly coming out because it initially wasn't doing good. Again, the marketing was just terrible. But thanks to fan outcry and outreach, people have been watching it a lot more, and it managed to make back its budget plus more.
That's good. Yeah, I'll have to stream that. You said Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon. I'm sure it's on like a Vudu. I don't know what Canada has for different streaming stuff.
Yeah.
It's like digital rent stuff, you know.
Yeah, the last 2 movies we tried to watch was Alien and Aliens with my toddler, and we decided to watch those because like when I really thought about it, like there's really not much gore or like horror or anything like that. It's mostly just like, you know, like tenseness and
They're
especially the first Alien.
one. The first one's very atmospheric more than
Yeah, it's more like the atmosphere of dread as opposed to like actual horror or anything. So I thought it would be fine for a toddler. And plus, we have this alien lunchbox that she just like is obsessed over. So I thought she might like it. And to our surprise, like the only time she really like paid attention or enjoyed the movie was when the alien was on screen. Every other time, she was just like bored out of her mind.
I was kind of the same. So I watched those movies when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, I think I'll try again when she's 10.
Yeah,
That's when I first watched it, and I was just like, I love this movie so much. It's the greatest thing ever. So,
like whatever year the first Alien vs Predator movie came out on like DVD and stuff, that's when I like got into the Alien stuff because I was born in 2000, so I'm a little younger than all y'all.
a little bit,
Just a little tad bit.
little bit, just a smidge. But yeah, and then I thought like, okay, well, let's try Aliens because that one's a little more actiony. Like it's even less about horror or anything like that, and more just about action. And I thought, all right, well, let's try that. And there's more aliens that you get to see. She fell asleep before we even reached the hive.
So with Aliens, I remember the only time I was scared during Aliens was when Newt was isolated in like the sewer system area when she fell down the thing, and like the aliens were like behind her and stuff. Like that's the only time like
where the alien rises out of the water. That's like the best shot of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, like
it's
like,
so good.
Being like a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid and like terrified out of my mind, like it's gonna get the little girl.
It's gonna get you.
It's gonna get her.
Oh man.
Good memories all over the week.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about earlier too was like the whole Wicked movie poster controversy. You guys saw that, right? That's crazy.
It's stupid.
Like talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Holy. I have never seen a movie with more goodwill like just absolutely destroy their goodwill faster and more efficiently than that actress did.
It surprises me that actors don't have PR agents in charge of their social media.
Right?
It's crazy. Like
she went on.
I know. Like she went like complete. It's kind of like the conversation we were just having.
I think it helps to, if I may, add some context in case nobody knows.
Yeah.
So the live action Wicked is coming out, and you know, it's getting some middling reception. Yeah, it's not coming out, but people don't really have that high expectations. You know, it just is the nature with live action films. So recently, the movie poster for the film came out, and if you're unaware, the film is based off a Broadway play, and the Broadway play uses a poster very similar that is adapted to the film. Now, in the Broadway play, it's like this very stylized poster. It shows the Wicked Witch. She's green, red lips, and her witch hat is kind of covering her eyes, and she has like this sly grin. Meanwhile, the White Witch is coming to her side and whispering something. And the reason why that old poster works well. So that's the new poster. The one on the right there, the Broadway poster. That poster works well because it's like you're thinking like, oh, it's the evil witch, you know, it's the Wicked Witch of the West. But the thing is that the story, it's about how actually it's like, you know, we're talking about complex villains. It's a story about how this complex person was actually used to be good, but she has been mistreated and turned into a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it works because the Wicked Witch has always been a simple villain. It's like Nostalgia Critic puts it best. It's a bully. It's just somebody who just causes problems. But then you find out and then you find out that there's a complicated story about them. And it's like, oh, it adds so much context. So they put out a new poster, the one on the left with the live action actresses, and it doesn't work. It has the same kind of layout. But the reason it doesn't work is you see the actress' face, and she looks more serious and kind of sad. So it doesn't have that whole, you know, there's a tragedy or like, you know, it's like, oh, this is the villain. But then tricks you.
To me, I look at that, and I think she looks more confused than anything else. She's just
it's-
kind of like staring blankly straight ahead, and you're just like, okay, what is this
I wouldn't
emotion?
even say confused. I see just a neutral face with like maybe a slight smirk, maybe.
The thing is
I
that
don't even see a smirk.
it doesn't commit. See, the one on the right
yeah.
commits to the smirk, but the
Yeah.
one on the left it can be read as anything. So it doesn't really.
Yeah, that's why we all have our different interpretations because we don't know what it's supposed to be.
Well, the one on the right says like it's mysterious, right? Like you look at that.
If not mischievous.
Oh, Humble Marty says the trailer kind of turned me off from the movie. To be honest, Girl Boss Wicked Witch is not as the movie Into the Wild.
I haven't seen the trailer.
But yeah, like the one on the right, I look at that and I'm like, okay, this looks kind of mysterious. You got like the Wicked Witch, she's kind of smirking. You're not really sure what she's thinking. She's got her eyes covered, so like you're really having a hard time telling what exactly is going on in her head. And you got the White Witch, the Good Witch, whispering into her ear. So you get this kind of impression of like, what is she whispering? Like why is what is she saying that's making her smirk like this? You know, and this is the Wicked Witch, so it's like we know she's a bad guy. So is she influencing her? Is she the reason that she becomes wicked? And then also not only that, but like just the text being so visible, wicked, and you're just like, okay, what's wicked about it?
Oh, fuck,
and
I just noticed that.
What?
I just noticed that I could not see the text on the left one.
Right? That's one of the first things I knew. I noticed. Like it's so dark you can barely see it at all. Right? So you see tell everyone. Okay? That's what you see. You see tell everyone. That's the part that shows up, not Wicked, the name of the freaking movie. But in the other one, it's Wicked. You see Wicked. But like tell everyone, you're saying like, oh, okay, so she's just telling her something. Okay. She's telling her what? Watch the trailer for the movie, right? Okay, we'll watch the trailer for the movie. But like the other one, it's like she's telling her a secret. She's like, hey, do this. Or she's trying to manipulate her or something. It's possible, right? And you don't get that in this. But this one does kind of bring it back a little bit. You get it. And not only that, but the fan one made the text for the actual, movie title.
It up a little bit.
It's more visible. It's more visible. And that's the thing that gets me is like it's and not only that, but like the controversy, like this actress went on an absolute.
She flipped out. I saw. Yeah,
she lost her freaking shit, like because a fan made a poster edit that makes it more in line with the original poster for the play. That's a fan. That's literally your target audience. Like, what in the hell are you doing? Like, this is not this is not like the Star Wars thing where it's like people who really didn't like the movie saying that they didn't like the movie. This is people who are excited to see the movie doing fan art. Like, you're getting mad at your customers for doing fan art.
I gotta respect Ariana Grande for her response because even she was like, "Hey, like, come on."
Did she?
Like, she said it's fan art. It's a fan edit.
That's good.
It's like I never thought I'd say this, but I have a lot of respect for her after that.
Yeah, but this other actress, Cynthia Erivo, she's psychotic, man. She's lost her mind.
Yeah, I read it. I read the thing. It's like, oh my god.
Oh my god, you covered my eyes? Oh my god, you're erasing me. This is like genocide. Like, what is this?
The thing is that a lot of actors want to have their face shown. And a lot of movie producers want to have the actor's face shown. But the thing is that much like Judge Dredd, with what's the name?
Sylvester
Carl
Stallone?
Urban.
Oh,
Sylvester Stallone was the bad version. Sylvester Stallone is the version where he wants to have his face shown, and so we need to have his face shown. Or if not,
I gotta say though, I don't appreciate the slander. The original Judge Dredd movie is an awesome movie. I know it doesn't.
I'm not calling the film bad. I'm saying that it's a bad. It's an example of that way of like we need to show the actor's face.
Yeah,
even though
I
it's a
get you.
character that is faceless.
It's a character that, like, for the most part, you really should never take off their helmet. But when you
Like,
actually
literally
watch the
never,
original Judge Dredd movie, they have a good reason for him not being in costume. You know,
He's like
so.
exiled or something.
Yeah, he gets exiled, and so like he gets all his shit taken from him. It's sort of like a video game
I
plot.
feel like they didn't have to do that storyline though. Like they could have done something where he could keep his helmet.
No,
But
they
to,
didn't. They didn't have to, but like I enjoyed it, man. I watched it as a kid, and I thought it was super fun then. And I rewatched it like kind of in more modern, times, and I thought like it held up pretty well too. Like a lot of the effects in that movie hold up surprisingly well.
The ABC Warrior, from the clips that I've seen, the ABC Warrior looks amazing.
Yeah, it really
dude.
does. And there's also this really cool like bike chase scene. Like they're on these like hover bikes and flying through the city and stuff. It looks shockingly good. I was just like, this is 1996 they did this? Like this holds up today. Crazy. Like some of the effects that they did back then are better than a lot of the effects being done now.
Oh yeah, no.
Like I
miniatures
watch
and
movies.
stuff, like they had miniatures and like paintings and stuff. They had that down to a science in the day.
Yeah. But like I watch a lot of movies nowadays and I'll watch something that's like 3 or 4 years old and it looks dated. It looks dated.
And then you watch like Pirates of the Caribbean and like Davy Jones, he looks real.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thing
like
is-
what the hell happened? Like
well,
where
I can tell you what happened.
Oh, I mean I know a lot about like what
Crunch
happened. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. And then there's things like Life of Pi, that was a big part of it. There was a big controversy around that. I think we actually touched on it on the streams like a long time ago, several years back. But yeah, it's dude, like some of the older films like hold up better than some of the newer films, and I that's one of the takeaways that I got rewatching the original Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone. You have to admit though, Sylvester Stallone was pretty good casting for Judge Dredd.
Oh, he
Right,
would have been
Oh, yeah.
in a better written movie. From what I hear, I haven't seen it. I can't fully speak on it. From what I hear, he would have been the perfect Judge Dredd in a better written movie.
Yeah, you know what I would love to see? I would love to see Sylvester Stallone return to Judge Dredd. Like, I know everybody wants to see a sequel to the Carl Urban one, but like, I would love to see like a new sequel to the Sylvester Stallone one. Like, I want to see like what's happened to that Judge Dredd in the last like 25 years. Like,
Yeah, it's fitting too because the character actually ages in real time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Oh man.
but-
Sorry.
but
Tangent. Didn't mean to
Yeah,
derail.
Should we
But-
go back
but,
to
yeah,
Wicked?
Yeah, the ultimate point is
Don't attack your audience.
Right.
it should have been handled better. Just say very nice. That's all. You could have just said very nice and leave it at that. Or
Yeah.
See, that's the logical thing though, but I lurk on Twitter and whatnot once in a while. From what I gather, she has a history of this kind of thing. Like she
Oh,
played
really?
Rosa Parks. Yeah, she played Rosa Parks in a movie, and then during the campaign or not campaign, the promotion of that, she would like bash on like Black Americans because she's like British or something. She had a problem with like African Americans.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know
Oh.
the whole story about that. I just gathered like bits and pieces here and there.
Well, I think the whole Wicked controversy is kind of points to just like a sort of like really big and gaping disconnect between Hollywood and their audience. And I think we've seen a lot of examples of this throughout the years, primarily between like Hollywood and critics of Hollywood. But this is kind of the first time that we've really seen Hollywood like attack the fans of an upcoming movie, as opposed to like the people being critical of it, which is I think kind of speaks to like a sort of radicalization of the Hollywood system, that these actors are feeling this way and this entitled and this sort of
It's
like
almost
antagonistic
preemptive.
towards their audience. It's a big
Preemptive
problem.
reaction.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a lot of like preemptive reaction stuff too. like more just like trying to preempt like criticism of the movie by being like, oh, we got people in our DMs you giving us death threats, and never showing any examples or anything. But
it's the biggest one since the 2016 Ghostbusters that I can think of.
2016 Ghostbusters, man, that was apparently, I heard something. I think it was on Midnight's Edge, but they were saying that apparently Kevin, not Kevin. Something Feig, Paul Feig, yeah, the director.
Paul
apparently, he's still mad about that movie failing.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've
Sorry,
seen
what?
an article saying, like, I don't know, like a couple months ago. Yeah, he's still miffed about it. You know what's
Like,
fucked
that's
up
crazy.
is that
Maybe
what's fucked
you
up
should
is
direct
that
a better movie, guy.
what's fucked up is that I've seen the movie. I actually reviewed it once, and it was.
I saw it too.
In my opinion, it was like okay, like not even like okay, like not even like not like I love bad, I love good, I don't like okay. Okay is like it'll like okay is slightly insulting. It does not arouse like emotion out of me.
Honestly,
for me,
I would say okay is the most insulting because at least bad, like you have like a strong opinion on it. Okay, you have like no opinion on a
what you guys are trying to get at here is that you feel apathy towards the movie.
Yeah.
You don't care. It sparks nothing in you. It doesn't spark emotion, no joy, no hate, no nothing. It's just there, and you don't care. I'm the same way. I don't care about that movie. I could not care less. I pretty much
about most Hollywood productions recently, especially for franchise pictures.
I genuinely think like Ghostbusters 2016 is one of the worst movies ever made, just because it so fundamentally misunderstands the franchise it is, one, the audience that likes that franchise, and also just the history that franchise has with the audience. Like these are three such core fundamental things you need to understand to make a good Ghostbusters film, and the film just categorically does not comprehend them at all. It feels
wrong.
It feels like a fan film for Ghostbusters that was created by somebody who's never seen Ghostbusters.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. That was one of the first like major productions where it was chasing the quote unquote modern audience, like a new audience.
I don't think so. I didn't that all-female Ocean's 11 movie come first?
No,
they did like an all-female reboot of Ocean's 11.
That did come out, but the thing was that if I recall correctly, I don't know. No, I think they came out later.
I think it came out later, and I wouldn't say Ocean's is a bigger franchise or more well-known franchise than Ghostbusters.
No, I'm not saying it's more well-known, but I think that was definitely one where they were chasing like the sort of quote-unquote modern audience, and just like it didn't exist. It didn't exist then. It doesn't exist now.
Ocean's 6?
Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8, and it came out in 2018, so that was after.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that movie bombed.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a bomb. And then there was the Charlie's Angels remake where they basically said, if you're a man, don't watch our movie in the promotional contact. And then all the men basically said, okay, bet.
When you
and then
Ocean's 8,
it tanked.
I thought of the Charlie's Angels remake. I mixed those two movies together because I completely forgot the Charlie's Angels remake happened.
Yeah.
I thought of the Twilight Girl.
Okay. So looking into it, apparently Ocean's 8 film did fine. It was okay.
But it wasn't doing like Ocean's 11 kind of numbers or anything, right?
I can't
Ocean's
recall.
13 numbers?
Ocean's 8 was basically nearly 300 mil over 70 mil, which if you double is usually the actual price. So that's 140 mil, so it did fine. Ocean's 11 gross was yeah, that's a lot. So 450 worldwide against a relatively bigger budget, so it was about the same. But no, Charlie's Angels did bomb though.
Yeah, let me just see here. Charlie's Angels. The Charlie's Angels reboot, directed by Elizabeth Banks, starring Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Ella Balinska, had a mixed box office performance. Total worldwide gross $73.3 million. What was the film's budget?
73 had to be. Oh,
let's see.
More than 50 million.
Production budget of about 55 million.
Yeah.
And an estimated advertising budget of about 50 million. So they spent about $105 million and got 73.3 million worldwide. So they didn't even break even.
That was a legit loss.
That was a big bomb. But I don't think, like, I heard the movie was also not very good. Like I heard a lot of people that did watch it were just like, nah, this is crap.
Say. Also, 2016 Ghostbusters based on a book.
Apparently, yeah. This is something Humble Marty just put out, but I did not know that.
Like a comic book, or can you give us more information on that? Or
because I thought that was like directly from the mind of Paul Feig. Because Feig, I think it's pronounced Feig.
Oh, the Freaky Geeks guy, whoever that is.
Yeah, like if you, I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure because like there was like the Sony leaks. Remember that? Like and the whole impetus for the Ghostbusters 2016 reboot. Like I'm pretty sure that was all pitched by Paul Feig to the then president or whoever it was that was like leading the charge. That lady.
The only thing I remember from the Sony leaks was that they were thinking about doing a Men in Black and Ghostbusters crossover movie, which would have been at least interesting.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be interesting, but I'm not sure how they would do that. No, I don't think it was Ghostbusters and Men in Black. I think it was Men in Black and 21 Jump Street.
That's right.
Yeah, that would have been good. That I would have watched for sure. That MIB International though, I never watched that. That did not look good.
So looking into it, I can't find anything on it being based on a book. There have been books based on the 2016 film, but the 2016 film had a lot of scripts made, but not a book. Yeah, and Sony was acting really messed up. I remember at the time they were also deleting a lot of comments, especially comments that were, it was just like the more like regular kind of criticisms, like I don't like the way of it, I don't like the comedy and all that. But they kept the comments that were basically going all out on the hate, like, just
because they were trying to form a narrative so that they could be like, oh,
I think my
monsters.
I think my
like,
biggest
AVGN, he got death threats because he said he wasn't going to review it because he didn't think it was going to be good.
Yeah, well, he said he didn't have any interest in it because he was just like,
that's it.
Well, this is a show that's really just not directed at me. Like, this is not, for my demographic. It clearly is not. They've said it's not. So I don't really see any point in watching it or reviewing it, right?
It's more that he said that basically he's a massive Ghostbusters fan. He never, he's made that very clear. And basically, people were like, "Oh my god, can you review this one because you review films as well? So can you review this Ghostbusters?" It's like, I'm not interested. It just doesn't look like something I like. Keep in mind, it was like the most milked. It was like the most casual kind of like, I just don't want to see it.
It was super milk toast. He was like super nice about it. He was like, I'm just not interested in it, guys. I'm sorry.
And then people were going on about it.
Which is perfectly reasonable, too. Also, Marty says there was a novel made that had female Ghostbusters. I don't doubt that, but I'm not so sure that actually had any impact on the film. Because, like, I remember from the leaks, the Sony leaks, like, it was really just Paul Feig pitching this idea to the president of Sony. And, it was like a very loose, like, I think we should do it with all girls because I know all these funny girls, which kind of makes sense with Paul Feig, given, like, a lot of the movies he did. And I don't think he's, like, bad at what he does generally, but, like, the whole female Ghostbusters thing, it was a bad movie. It wasn't good. Like, I love Spy.
Oh, did he do Spy? Or
He
I
did Spy. Yeah. With Melissa
cool.
McCarthy. That was a
actually like-
hilarious movie.
I actually like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's funny as hell.
Yeah.
I like the
He did,
idea of like the like it's like this, you know, kind of dumpy, frumpy, kind of overweight, you know, office worker at like the spy agency, but she's like, you know, got the chops and she's really good at her job and it could be a really good field agent, but you'd never know it to look at her. And then she gets out there, and even though she's really good, she's almost too good because like she doesn't know how to hold herself back because she's been like behind a desk for so long. So it had that kind of like girl boss sort of thing, but in an unintentional way that made it funnier.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
that
like,
worked. But it worked exactly how the Ghostbusters movie didn't, because it had a logical through line. You see what I mean? Like the Ghostbusters 2016 remake, it was just like rambling. It was just rambling and dancing. Like I think back to like the Red Letter Media review of it, and where he's just like, "Stop dancing! Stop dancing! Why are you dancing? Stop dancing!" And it's so true. They keep breaking out into dancing for like no reason, and it's just like it's just like he didn't have a script that made enough sense, and he didn't have enough footage to like build a good movie, and so he was just like, just start dancing. I don't know, we got to fill the time somehow. Just start dancing, like he's panicking. He's just
going to that comment that he didn't have a good script. From what I gather, and someone, audience member, whoever, might have to double check me. From what I gather, he let them improv most of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was well known for like going out of his way to like allow improv, but like encouraged it even to a point where it was like it took over the film.
Yeah.
Like I'll bet you like 90% of what is in the final cut is improv.
Well, it's all one-liners. Like the whole movie is basically one-liners.
But it's also a lot of rambling. That's what bothered me. Was like there was so much rambling, they never get to the point, and I realized the irony if Larry was still here, because he was all criticizing me for not getting to other points fast enough. But I mean, this is a live stream; it's not a recorded video or something, you know.
There's a difference between rambling and build-up. God damn it!
Exactly.
Build-up.
I was doing build-up, not rambling. I had a through line that I was trying to follow. He kind of derailed it a little bit.
With Ghostbusters was they only ever caught one ghost.
That's true.
And then it was the final giant big confrontation with the dance-off. They only ever caught one ghost, and then Bill Murray came on like, "You can't do this anymore. I'm unplugging it."
Yeah,
and then
that's
the ghost
the thing.
escaped, and then
That's the thing. The original movie did have that build-up. There was so much time before you even see like them in uniform. You know, it's like, okay, it had like they had theories about ghosts, and then they went searching for a ghost, and then they found a ghost, and they were just like, we got so much information from that sighting of the ghost that I think I could make a contraption to trap it. And they're doing this like kind of just in the interest of science. But then because of, you know, them not producing results for the university science department, they get kicked out. And so they're just like, well, shit, what do we do now? Well, we're going to have to go into business for ourselves. You know, and they use Ray's significant, like, you know, inheritance to fund their operation. Egon makes a bunch of the tech.
It was, sorry, Dan Aykroyd, you're going to have to take a third mortgage off your house to buy a firehouse. And
then Ray's not exactly, you know, exempt from criticism either, because he goes and buys like this old busted up car. It looks like it's about to die. He's just like, oh, it's only got about 300,000 kilometers on it. I think it's good.
That was such a good. I love that movie so much.
But like, you get to know these characters. You get to know their motivations so clearly, so explicitly before you ever see your second ghost, right? And they go into this first encounter with the ghost, and they're like, oh, we have absolutely no idea what we're doing. But they've already got they put out commercials on TV You know, they've built themselves up to be like the experts and stuff. So they got an image to that they're putting out there that they don't live up to. There's so many levels to the comedy and just to like the storytelling that fleshes out the world and fleshes out the characters, that you really learn about each of these characters explicitly to the point where you learn and love each and every one of them almost equally. I mean, everybody always ends up having their favorite Ghostbuster. Mine for a long time was Egon, but as I grew up, I kind of identified a lot more with Winston.
Mine's always been Venkman.
Venkman, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Semi?
It's like a Winston was played by it was the black one, right?
Oh, Zeddemore?
No, it was that was him, right?
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, Ernie Hudson.
Zeddemore in the movie.
Yeah. What about you, Dylan? Who was your favorite?
Probably say Venkman, because I don't know, the Bill Murray's sort of dry delivery resonates with me.
His humor.
Definitely on a deep connected level.
I always kind of thought Venkman was kind of a dick. Even as a kid, I was just
that's why I liked him though.
I'm a dick too.
Like,
I mean,
a couple of squiggly line scenes, like
For me, Venkman was always my least favorite Ghostbuster. I've always either been like Egon or Zedmore. Right. Egon or Zedmore were kind of my highest, and then it was Ray, and then it was Venkman. Because Ray, he's so lovable. Like you just love him. He's like a big cuddly teddy bear. He's just excited about ghosts. You know, he's excited about the paranormal. You know, he's like a big kid in a lot of ways. He makes these dumb decisions, and he gets like easily manipulated, and you feel bad for him. But like, you know, like he's still lovable. And then like Venkman's just a manipulative dick, a womanizer.
That's why he's so lovable, man.
I mean, he's very fun to watch, but like he's not easy to identify with. You know what I mean? Like I identify with him.
He's just
it's not even just identifying with, but like he's likable, lovable, like, you know, not so much Venkman. Like Zedmore, he's like the everyman. He's like you and me, right? Like he's like, you know, he's like the 9-to-5 average Joe. He's just doing a job. He's got, you know, I don't know if he's got kids to feed or what, or he's but he's like, hey, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'm in. You know, and I love that about him.
I'll believe anything you say.
Right, exactly. And then Egon, like he's just like purely in it for the science. Like all he can think about is he's just thinking about like all of like the science behind everything. How do I capture a ghost? This is so interesting. Oh my God, what does this mean? This slime. What can we do with this slime? You know, he's just so obsessed with that, and he makes all these cool gadgets and stuff, and he's so awkward and like just so in love with the science of it that he's like incapable of, you know, successfully interacting with other human beings on an effective level. And I know there's something adorable about that, like adorkable, you know, that's kind of what I get. Humble Marty's back. She says Donut Guy was my spirit animal out of the Ghostbusters, but my favorite Ghostbuster merch I own is the manga anthology. But that doesn't tell me who your favorite Ghostbuster is. Who's Donut Guy?
You're talking like like.
Are you talking about the part with the Twinkie? Oh, that's a big Twinkie.
Was there like a blink and you'll miss it like side character cameo of a Donut Guy?
Unless you're talking about Rick Moranis.
I'm confused. I'm gonna look this up. Okay, Ghostbusters Donut Guy. Who's the Donut Guy? Krispy Kreme has released a limited edition line of Ghostbusters themed donuts. Okay, I don't think that's quite what she means.
He probably meant the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'm not sure.
Well, he's a Marshmallow Man, not the Donut Man. She's got to mean someone else.
Unless
Can
it's
you
your-
elaborate, Humble Marty?
unless it's someone from like the extended media.
Is there a character?
Was it a cartoon? Was it part of the real Ghostbusters? I don't remember this.
Is there a character in Ghostbusters that eats donuts? I'm just so confused. Her message has me going down this like rabbit hole. Okay, there is a character in the Ghostbusters franchise known for eating donuts. Winston Zeddemore, played by Ernie Hudson in the 1984 original film. Winston is a Ghostbusters joins the scene and often depicted enjoying donuts. I didn't even notice this. Well, he does eat a donut in the car when they're talking about like the end of times in the car and they get all religious. Is that the scene she's talking about?
I always connected Egon with the sweets.
Well, because of the Twinkie scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I think she might be talking about Winston because he does eat. I think he does eat a donut when they're in the ecto.
That's a big Twinkie.
Oh man, I'm curious. I really want to unravel this. Unless there's like some sort of like background character. Hold on.
Maybe someone in the IDW comics. We're fake fans, guys. We don't know Donut Guy.
Ghostbusters, Ray and Winston talk religion. Okay, this is the scene that I was talking about. Maybe this is the one she's talking about.
Was that in Ghostbusters 2?
Cigarette. That's right. They're smoking cigarettes. Not eating donuts. Okay. Ghostbusters.
Humble Marty said, I think it was Raymond.
I think it was Ray. Ray Stantz.
Okay.
Maybe it is. Let's try Ray eating donuts. This shouldn't be so. Like, I should have figured this out already. Like, I should know this.
I can't remember a single scene in the Ghostbusters movie where they eat donuts for whatever reason.
In Ghostbusters 2, does he eat a donut at the children's birthday party?
Oh.
Because there's that scene. They're like, He-Man.
Yeah.
We're doing some sleuthing. I love that scene. Let's get a beer. No, they just leave the party. Dang. Humble Marty, you broke me.
You confused us all.
I'm such a big fan of like the first two Ghostbusters movies that like I'm so mad at myself for not knowing who the donut guy is. All right. Well, I guess we should probably call it there. We got some talking done. So check out the website. I'm gonna hopefully update that soon if I can, and check out our Patreon if you guys have a buck or two you want to swing our way towards comic book creatings. Then
subscribe to Josh's OnlyFans.
Yeah. He has some spicy feet pics on there, so I hear.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter if you're jumping in on this stream after the fact and learning about us. You know, we got our Twitter all in the description in the bio for all of us here, so you can follow me, Semi, Theron, and Dylan. I don't think Dylan's is in there though. I'm not sure I added his to it yet. I'll have to double check that. Let me see. No, I haven't added it. Okay, I'll have to add you to the YouTube description. Your stuff there, Dylan, for the next time.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not be too far into the future for the next stream. Let's try not to make like several years.
Let's not wait another year for the next stream.
Yeah, let's not wait another year. We want to do this a little more regularly, so we can keep people up to date and hopefully show off more cool stuff that we get done soon. Because I got to get started on a couple things. I got 2 comic book covers that I got to do. I'm working on one for AR13L for a friend of mine, Pixel Trader. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be my first NSFW cover as well. So that's fancy. Yeah, get that fish coos.
My favorite.
And then I'm hopefully going to be doing something for a good friend of mine, Fatal J. He's got a comic coming up soon that he's working on, and he wanted me to do a cover for that. So hopefully I get a chance to do that soon. I got to finish the AR13L one first, and then I can do that one. And then hopefully I can get some commissions and pages for Pineapple Pizza Man done. I think I've got like 4 pages left to finish for Pineapple Pizza Man. And then I got like a bunch to cover. We're in the home stretch, so I think February is definitely doable. Especially like once I kind of get everything done here and we get into a groove, I think I'll start to get like a lot more progress done than I have in the last little while. But yeah, it's been, you know, if you watch the beginning of this stream, it's been a very chaotic time for me and my family. It's been a very stressful time. It's been very difficult to find time, you know, but we're in a much better situation now. We're much happier. We're free of the stress, and you know, we're going to be going onwards and upwards. We're going to be focusing on Pineapple Pizza Man. We're going to be focusing on the Secret comic. We're going to be focusing on Cross, and we're going to be focusing on Chicken Warrior, and we're going to be focusing on Dylan's project, which you know, I'm hoping I see something soon from you, Dylan. We got it's a cool project. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah,
and we have a bunch of unannounced stuff too that we
got a bunch of unannounced stuff and a bunch of announced stuff that we haven't been able to work on yet. So I mean, I think once Pineapple Pizza Man 1 is done, I think Pineapple Pizza Man 2 is going to come a lot faster because we've got a pretty solid idea. Yeah, we've kind of figured out our groove in getting this stuff done. I managed to basically do the pencils for the third Juanpool issue there in like 3 months, which is like
that was quick.
It was quick compared to, you know, how long it took for Pineapple Pizza Man initially. Like, I mean, that was my first time doing it was Pineapple Pizza Man, and that was my second time doing it. It was like a lot shorter time period. So, you know, I mean, the more you do it, the better you get, the faster you get. You know, it's just a matter of like putting the time in, and that's been the hard part so far. That's been the hardest part, especially being, newly married, newly father again. You know, like
starting your life and shit.
In children, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, guys. It was really great to see you. Love hanging out with you guys. Love talking with you. I think we always got some, you know, really good insights with a lot of the subjects we bring up, Blade and villains and all that stuff. Great stuff tonight.
That's fun.
Let's call it here. Thank you for everybody that joined us tonight. Thank you to Humble Marty. Thank you to Mrs. H. And thank you, of course, to Cactman and for Niobe Comics. We had 4 people today. That's really great considering we haven't streamed in over a year. And I really want to start doing more regular content and talking about, you know, a lot of the things that are going on in comics and media and comic media. I think it's good to talk about it. It's interesting. It's fun to talk about it. And it always brings up, you know, these great, you know, sort of philosophical and creative discussions that I love having with you guys. So let's do more of that. Absolutely. And it's going to only improve. It's going to get better and bigger and have cooler stuff. And I'm building. I got an office now. I'm building an office to do all this comic book work in. So that's what it's here for. And promise. So check back in soon. If you're following us on Twitter, if you're following Science Wizard Comics at Science Comics, and keep posted there because that is where the announcements will come first.
That's where the magic happens, baby.
It is. It is. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody who stopped by. We really, really do appreciate all of you. Thank you. Love you. Take care now.